Welcome to Setting the Bar, a Workbar podcast. I'm Maddie.
I'm Sarah.
And we are here with people, this is a really big deal. The CEO of my one true love, Bevi, Cathy Lewenberg. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
This is a big deal for us. This is a big deal for
Workbar. I know. Really, it's all about Maddie.
It really is. Because we all know I love Bevi so much. And like, it kind of started out as a joke, and now it's just the real thing that I just love it. True. And I'm like an evangelist because Bevi is one of the coolest things you can have in your office. I'm waiting for Bevi Home to come out. If that's on the horizon, blink twice.
Side note, I was with one of Workbar's co-founders yesterday, and we were talking about, I don't remember why we brought up Bevi. I think because I had said, I'm meeting Cathy tomorrow. And Bevi's have been at Workbar locations, I think since we opened our Cambridge location in 2015. So we've had a lot of generations of Bevi machines. And he was like, bring up. I said, the first time I saw a Bevi, I want one in my home. So I was like, I'll see if product development will take our call.
Now that Cathy's at the helm, maybe we can get that going.
Right.
So Cathy started as the CEO of Bevi recently. You were previously with Drizzly. Tell us a little bit about the transition and what's going on at Bevi these days.
Absolutely. So I just hit my 3-month mark.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it has been just awesome. And Drizzly was my first experience at a startup. So prior to that, I'd been kind of Fortune 10 size company. So a huge shift, but I learned a ton of lessons on kind of how to scale companies, set them up for success. So that's really what I've been focused on. Bevi is just an incredible product. We were customers. I was a customer first, which is
at Drizzly?
At Drizzly,
nice.
yes. We were huge loyalists, also had a massive following at the company. And so when I heard they were looking for a CEO, I thought I couldn't think of a better fit. And as I learned more and met the team and got, into the culture of the company, I just said, this is awesome. And so a lot of what I've been focusing on, we've had steady growth, but really how do we get this out to more companies and more places to have an even bigger impact?
Yeah.
Yeah, what I think so this podcast is really centered around what makes companies in Boston successful. And what I also love about your background is that Drizzly was started by 2 guys at a Boston college. Yeah. Bevi was started by a RISD art designer and 2 MIT Sloan.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I also, this is taking me back because when I came to Workbar in around 2017, one of our biggest member companies was Techstars. And at Techstars, we talked a lot about Bevi. And so Bevi also was probably in one of the first cohorts of Techstars in Boston.
That's so interesting.
I feel like there are so many Boston connections with you specifically and growing and scaling companies. So kind of to kick us off as well, let's talk about a little bit how Boston has enabled, has been sort of the catalyst for some of your growth as a leader in, I don't want to say the beverage industry because you're just a badass leader in general.
Yeah, just leadership, period.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I love about Boston is the community, and particularly around entrepreneurship and the startup community. And it has been so fun to get to be a part of it. And prior to Drizzly, I had been at CVS Health, so still kind of in New England, but spent more time in Rhode Island. So Drizzly was my first foray to really go deeper into Boston, and it is just incredible. People are very supportive, just even ramping. You'd think, looking at different companies, in some cases they might be competing, but it doesn't come through at all in terms of how they support one another. And so it's been really fun in terms of being able to hire and grow within the Boston community.
Yeah. I think that's why we are also started off as such supporters of Bevi, because we like to support Boston-made businesses. And I know when we travel to other real estate conferences around the world, and we're like, you have to get Bevi, you have to get Bevi. And it is that sort of, we want to sort of encourage other companies to use Boston-made products. Not that you guys need us, but if, you know, we do like to be
let me know.
evangelists of your product. So we find that too, that it's like Boston companies helping Boston companies, and there's like that real grit. And I feel personally, like I feel like so proud when other companies in Boston do really cool stuff, good stuff.
No, I feel the same way, and I'm wondering if you're alluding to when we were not just now, it's almost been a year, we were in Salt Lake City for a co-working conference, and there were a couple of water dispenser companies there.
Yeah, terrible.
You guys weren't. I think I texted Emily, your social media manager, and was like, you guys got to get to this next time.
And we were like, and they were trying to like be like, oh, but try this. And we were like, absolutely not.
No. Yeah. And I was even saying to the other water companies, I was like, you don't have like a sparkling option?
Yeah.
Like,
where's your blood orange flavor?
Yeah. I'm a lime mint girl, but blood orange is fine too.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But I do think that a product like Bevi is just like a level up. And I feel similar to how we operate. Like we talk about like redefining co-working, and we do things a little bit differently. And I feel like you guys are similar. Like I don't even know how many, you might know off the top of your head, how many like water dispenser companies there are that you can get infinite really at your work or home. But Bevi has so many options. It's so centered around environmental impact and sustainability, which is something that's so important to Workbar too. And I just think that it's so great. You guys really spent time making just like an elite product.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're very proud of it, and our mission was founded on eliminating single-use plastic bottles. I don't know if you know, but over 8 million tons of plastic end up in the ocean every year, and a lot of that is coming from these single-use plastic bottles, right? We think, you hope they're being recycled, but the vast majority are not. Yeah. And so that was really how we started the company, and it's all around kind of bringing this amazing machine into the work setting, using the water that's already coming in through the pipes versus having to transport it on trucks over, right? Filtering it out, filtering out bacteria, filtering out microplastics, and then allowing the user to customize, whether it's the blood orange, that's also one of my favorites.
Oh, nice.
Grapefruit, we have a number of enhancements that we launched recently in the last couple of years with vitamins and other things that people can mix and match and kind of make whatever beverage they want out of our machine, which is great.
So cool. Yeah, we have some of our community managers at our location, they pick what like flavors and enhancements each of the machines. It's just like a very customized experience for the managers at each location. But we walk in and I'm like, can we just try to have like one lemon or one lime, like something kind of basic, because that's typically what I like. But now they're like, but this one's caffeine and this one's electrolytes and this one's, and it's like, it's just a very cool, you never know what you're going to get when you walk over to a Bevi machine.
It's true, and it's cool to see how different people like mix and match. We have some members at the downtown, or actually they're not downtown anymore, they used to be downtown, that used to like live on the caffeinated water. And I don't know if it's just because it's water and so you don't feel like you're drinking something caffeinated, but they always talk about how like the caffeine really sneaks up on you.
Do they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. How they'll like be drinking it and drinking it and drinking it, and there are recommended amounts of caffeine to drink in a day for safety people, and they definitely exceed that. So, it's like it all is as legitimate as you say, which is amazing.
We do allow them to toggle the caffeine, too, if they want to tone it down a little bit.
That's
I know.
right.
Well, I think they found that out, that they could also toggle it up. So I think that was kind of where they started getting the jitters. No, but it is really cool.
I think we could talk, Maddie and I, the problem with Maddie and I about Bevi is like we've talked like so much about it. But let's talk about, Cathy, where you are a mom, you have 4 kids.
3
kids.
3 daughters.
You have 3 daughters?
Yep.
Girl gang.
I know.
I love it. I have 2 daughters.
Yeah.
How old are your girls?
6, 9, and 11.
Okay.
Wow.
My oldest just turned 6.
Okay.
What an age.
I know.
We could do a whole podcast on 6-year-old girls.
Well, I think I have an 11-year-old girl, so I feel like we could do an 11-year, like the tween years.
Yeah, it's something.
But how, like, this is going to be a very cliche question, and I get asked it a lot, but how do you sort of balance all of this with being a mom to 3 young girls? Because and for real, not, you know what I mean? Like, how do you balance all of that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I mean, I think, one, I'm very lucky. I have a great partner, my husband, Dan. He does a lot of the heavy lifting on like getting them to the different activities after school. And it allows me to have just a lot of flexibility. And then I think that theme of flexibility, like in the workplace, we require people to come in 2 days a week, but you can pick and choose when that is.
So they can pick and choose any of the 2 days?
Any of the days. I mean, we'll have lunch 2 kind of anchor days, so you'll see the majority of folks coming in on those days, but we really want people to be able to control their life. And I know for me, being able to pop over to read a book for 20 minutes to my my first graders class, to be a part of that part of her life, and then come back and get back online keeps me feeling energized and like I'm able to be a successful mom and also a successful businesswoman. And so for me, it's just about flexibility.
Yeah.
So important.
So important. I mean, we talk about that so much at Workbar. One of the things that really drew me to work at Workbar originally was how Sarah talked so much about the flexibility and true work-life balance. You hear it all the time, and it's been such a hot topic since like the return to office mandates. But you, Sarah, really walk the walk as well. And it's such a good example for younger women in the workplace, maybe who haven't had kids yet, to see women like you, the two of you, really be able to like successfully run big companies and also be moms, wives, partners, friends. I think it's becoming less rare, which is great, but for a long time it was very rare. So thanks for the inspo, ladies.
Well, and awesome. Cathy, especially you, I mean, I'm in the real estate world, which is very male-dominated, but you were in, technology, alcohol, beverage, that is all very male-dominated, I would imagine. I know tech is, but one of the reasons that I left a sort of $1 billion publicly traded company that I worked at for 15 years, and I went to a startup company, was because I would see my kids, and I'm like, God, I just don't want to be another sort of like peg on like doing all of this work for a very large organization. I want to have an impact and I want to make a difference. So I left my company and I went to work for a startup company. And from there, I actually was let go like 3 months later because the company was sold. And then I came over to Workbar. But I kept thinking when I was leaving my kids at daycare, I want to be part of something bigger than myself and stop. And did you have sort of a similar? You left CVS Health where you were in charge of pretty substantial responsibilities to go to Drizzly. What was the catalyst for you to move from CVS, which is a very stable, like you said, Fortune 100 company, and go over to Drizzly?
Yeah, I had a great run at CVS, as you mentioned. I ran the food and beverage business for part of my career, so had a lot of experience in alcohol and beverages broadly, among kind of other categories, and then took over the omnichannel and digital team, and so really understood tech, also understood marketplaces, like Uber Eats, DoorDash at the time, Instacart. And so when I got the call about Drizzly, and a lot of the things that I loved doing at CVS was leaning into innovation, building teams, scaling, like looking for how do we continue to really deliver against our purpose of being this healthcare company and making it easy to be healthy, right? And I just saw this huge opportunity of Drizzly to come over with the alcohol experience I had, the marketplace experience, and help them kind of grow and scale. And when I went and met with the founders, they were just incredible, very humble, looking for someone with my kind of experience to match the incredible experience they already had on the team. And it just felt like a win-win. But it was a huge shift, but so fun.
So fun.
So fun.
Yes. Yeah. You've had the life cycles, like the company life cycles where you get into the company, especially Drizzly, looking at like the timeline of when you were there in terms of them raising, their biggest round of funding while you were there. You sort of, the transaction with Uber and then sunsetting Drizzly as a separate company from Uber Eats. That experience, I think you should write a book is what I'm trying to say, because I can only imagine everything that's inside of your head that you went through and you led. You were sort of responsible and the leader of the company at the time. That just, I can't even imagine everything that you now know that you can bring to Bevi.
Yeah, it's been really incredible how much has translated over to Bevi just in terms, and again, like I certainly don't have all the answers, and I think that's one of the things as a CEO, that constant curiosity and like asking the questions, but terms of just how to think about making sure you have a North Star, aligning and mobilizing teams, making sure you have the right systems and processes and tools in place, and then keeping that culture, right? What is that piece of the DNA that's core to making, Drizzly special when I was at Drizzly, now Bevi, and how do you make sure you lean into that and don't lose it as you scale quickly?
Right, because I think did I read that Bevi's sort of strategic vision over sort of the next, let's call it, 2025, because we're getting into the new year, is to grow outside of like North America and Canada and go global. So how you have great experience doing this, what is on the horizon for Bevi in terms of growth and in terms of, are we expecting an IPO in the near future? Are we going to have to share Bevi?
Yeah.
With the rest of the world.
Am I going to have to fight somebody as
because
the number one fan?
Because we think it's right.
Because I will.
Because she will.
Because I will.
Right.
No.
I think you'll see a few things out of us. As you just mentioned, we are currently launching in UK and Ireland.
Wow.
So, and it's great. We have these amazing companies who love us here in the U.S., and they're global. And they're calling and saying, I need Bevi's in my London office.
Yes.
I need Bevi's in my Dublin office. And so, it's great to have kind of that demand, that pull. So we did make the decision to invest in expansion globally. So that will be a big change next year, or just opportunity. The other big area is around continued iteration on like flavors, and so much we can be doing just to test. I mean, this is the great thing about the Bevi product. It's a connected device. So we have that software. We can be kind of constantly testing new flavors, new iterations of that screen to really drive engagement and make it fun. And so you'll see us leaning in there in a heavier way too.
One of the things that I've loved the most that you guys did, I think it was April Fool's Day.
Oh my gosh.
With the puppies, right?
Yeah.
Was that April Fool's Day?
Yes.
Yeah. That was genius. Yeah. I think that was just one of the coolest things. For those of you who might be listening that have never seen a Bevi, there is like it's almost like I don't know how you could probably describe it better, but like a touch screen that allows you to choose your flavor if you want still or sparkling. I won't get into all the details, but on April Fool's Day, you guys did like a little puppy joke. I can't remember exactly what it was, but all these adorable puppies came up on the screens in all of the Bevis. And it was the most fun thing to get to work and see. It was so clever.
Everybody at Workbar was talking about it.
Really, they really were. And I think, it just speaks to how creative you guys are and how you're thinking not just about water and single-use plastic, which of course is your biggest mission and what you guys do, but you're really thinking outside of the box in that way you were just describing, to use this machine to get all kinds of data. Right. I know you guys have been able to gather a ton of data on return to work trends, which I think is really neat and such an interesting way to kind of get at something that really still feels like a little bit of an enigma. Like what does return to work look like? What does return to office look like? Could you talk a little bit about how you guys have been doing that through your machines?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, as I mentioned, our machines are connected, so we have so much data at our fingertips, and obviously we use it to make sure we can service the machines. We can, see when things are running low and be really proactive on just delivering this amazing, consistent experience every day. We can also see the behaviors of what are people drinking, what times of day, what days of the week, and we continue to see more in-office activity. And so I think a couple of the big trends to note: one, the time, like that 9 to 5 kind of traditional work day, has evolved, and we're seeing over 20% of kind of consumption from our machines happening outside that 9 to 5 window. So people are coming in earlier, people are staying later. So it's so I think just in terms of, again, that flexibility and people feeling more empowered. The other thing, we continue to see the return to office. Looking at our data from November, just from 2023 to 2024, we've seen a 10% increase in terms of that office activity. So as people thought it was very much a near-term kind of couple years post-COVID, we continue to see it evolving. And I think with places like Workbar really investing in building amazing experiences where people can, it's so much more than just coming in and sitting in an office and cranking out work. It's coming together, building community, right? I think we're seeing those efforts pay off as well as more people proactively return. And certainly some are still kind of mandating and working more towards getting people back in the office, but that's not the bulk. I think it's really that experience that people are coming in for.
That's so interesting to hear. 20% surprises me that it's 20% outside of the 9 to 5 hours. I think that's so cool and so great to hear, especially for the younger generations who are thinking about work so differently. That's encouraging, I think.
And, another fun tip or just data point, Boston and LA are the highest return to office cities in the country from the data that we have access to in terms of where we're seeing return to office.
Wow.
So kudos to Boston for getting people in the office. And
it's that Boston grit. We're like, all right, we'll go back.
Exactly.
We'll do it.
Well, and honestly, I think that to your point too, driving experience and having the data that Bevi has their fingertips on is that we think of the Bevi in our space is sort of an extension of our brand, that we care so much about the people in our space that this is almost like it's an extension of our brand of being thoughtful and intentional with the products that our members are using. So it also could be, I think, said that the data you have is probably from companies who really value and care about their employees because they're giving them the gift of Bevi. No, but they're giving them, like it is something that you, like I build out all of our spaces in obviously partnership with our architect and designer. And one of the main things we talk about in the beginning of the process is where is the Bevi going? Is it going on the counter? Are we doing a standalone machine? Like where, because it's automatically incorporated and we think about in terms of where the water's coming into the space and all that kind of stuff, where's the Bevi going? And it would never, if I can't have a Bevi at a Workbar, then there's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Right.
You know
We're
what I
not.
mean? Yeah.
Right.
And our members expect it. We did a member survey this year. And you wouldn't be because you're the CEO of this wonderful company, but the public would be shocked at how many people wrote that they either come in for the Bevi or the Bevi is one of their favorite parts of Workbar. I mean, it's just like, it's wild.
It's true. That is a huge driver for me, is just, you can get cold water anywhere, generally. I mean, that's a privileged thing to say. You can't get cold water anywhere. Most offices have a cold water option. Yeah. But if I live in Needham, I'm 2 minutes away from the Needham location, and I have gone to Needham to like get some sparkly water in a flavor that I like. I'm like, oh, I'm parched. I have like no good seltzer at home and a rundown.
Cathy's going to put us on a stalker list.
I know. She's like, wee, red flag, Emily, write this down. She's crazier than I thought.
Oh, I love it.
No, but it's true. And I think the story I was going to tell earlier, and I'm so curious to hear about some other Bevi use cases, is that I was at the Revere Hotel with one of my girlfriends. She came to visit from Vermont, and we went down to get some, free coffee. And the Bevi 2.0, or maybe 3.0 by now, like the new Mercedes G-Wagon. I don't even know what to call it.
We have it in Worcester.
We do?
Yeah, we have the newest Bevi.
Oh my God. I'll be in Worcester
Not the
tomorrow.
standalone, the countertop.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This one was the big standalone.
Yeah, I like the standalone.
Well, but it had everything.
Nice.
And I couldn't believe my eyes. I literally took a picture to send to my Workbar friends, because not only is it beautiful, but I was like, wow, this is actually so cool that Revere Hotel has this here. And there were people looking at it, and I was like, oh, that's the Bevi machine. And my best friend was like, you need to let people get their water. But it is so cool to me to see not just, corporations or businesses do it for their employees, or in our case, members, but the hotel has it for anybody who's staying there. What are some other use cases that you guys are seeing grow with Bevi? Yeah,
when Bevi started, we were very much focused on that employee amenity, as you mentioned. So we targeted offices, but to your point, that client amenity side. So whether it's hotels, gyms, spas, salons, automotive, dealerships.
Yeah.
Think about the number of bottled waters they're handing out, and now they can offer, Bevi instead. So we're really seeing it pick up. So that will definitely be a focus in 25 as well, is how do we get Bevis into more places? Because, I think the great thing is, every Bevi we sell is eliminating, upwards of 15,000 plus water bottles on average, like plastic bottles on average.
Workbar is almost at 1 million water bottles.
I was gonna say, I mean, we're over 600 million in total.
Wow.
And the fact that you're at 1 million is incredible.
That's really cool.
Obviously a really important data point that we love to share with our customers and that we celebrate internally. And next year we're going to hit 1 billion. So
wow.
Yeah.
That actually just made me a little emotional and a surprise to no one. But that's a huge impact on the environment. That's
really
pretty crazy.
Is. Right.
I wonder, I can't really think off the top of my head what other companies could say they have that kind of like really substantial impact in that way. Of course there are. But that's just like such a cool, specific thing to speak to. I love it.
I love it too. I was going to say something about our Back by Bevi, but now I can't remember.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, the great thing though about our mission is it's allowed us to recruit just incredible talent from tech companies, from like the folks might not just go to your average beverage company, but when they see the mission, they see the impact they can have. Like it's allowed us to build a really incredible team, which has been fun.
That's awesome.
Excited to continue to scale too. Lots more hiring.
That's exciting.
Do you have a lot of hiring on your horizon?
Yes, we will definitely be investing to continue to set the team up for success to hopefully have billions more water bottles saved.
Yeah,
World takeover, I think. I mean, really, let's set the limit high, the target's high.
Yeah,
that's really, I love that.
Same. Well, I'm very excited to go to Worcester tomorrow now. We have our Worcester grand opening tomorrow, our first foray out of technically Greater Boston.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's very
I
exciting.
still think it's in Greater Boston, by the way. We fight
I know,
about this
but
sometimes, but yeah.
Is it?
I don't know.
It depends who you ask.
Yeah.
It
I
depends
think
who
it
you
is,
ask.
though. I think it is,
But, yeah, new Bevi, big driver. Big driver.
Well, I was going to say my daughters love when I fill up the new flavors and bring them home. So
Ooh, that's a good little... Okay, what are some of the new flavors?
I have an 8-year-old son, Teddy, who every day when I come home with my water bottle, he calls it Workbar water. He's like, let me see if I can guess the flavor. So... Same thing.
Yeah, just be careful. I made the mistake one day of having it loaded with caffeine.
Oh, no.
And it was like 6:30, and they were like, ooh, this is delicious.
Yeah, you're like, uh-oh.
Oh, that is so funny.
Around the living room. That is really funny. Well, if you need a tester.
I was just going to say, Maddie will be
bring them to Workbar, or I can install it at my house. If I have to, I will test it.
Just to test them.
Is that something that you guys think about doing, bringing them into houses, or is that sort of just like outside of the scope of your growth at this point?
I mean, one of the things that got me so excited about Bevi in the first place is when I think about where I see bottles and cans, there are a lot sitting in people's refrigerators and their pantries. And so I do think it's a huge opportunity for Bevi. And I think we're well positioned just given the capabilities we have and such a strong team to build something. So I won't say it's confirmed, but I definitely don't think it's out of the realm of possibility in our future.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, I love on the Bevi how it shows you. I mean, I know you guys obviously know globally and companies, and Maddie knows Workbar is going to save 1 billion or 1 million bottles. But I love how in each of our locations you can go in and see how many bottles that you've saved, and it does. You do feel good about it. Like it's true. It does. You do feel good about it. We've actually started. We have all of our new members get like a bag of swag, Workbar swag. But we were like, we need to give them water bottles because it's like they're welcome to the world of the Bevi. Yeah. Here's a water bottle.
Fill her up.
So fill her up. Yeah. And don't bring single-use bottles into the space.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can help.
It's changed how we operate.
It really does. Yeah. I'm trying to remember now where I just was that said no single-use bottles allowed. I can't.
Well, a lot of places don't allow. Like towns don't sell them.
Yeah, towns don't sell them. But I was at a store or something that was like.
Yeah, it reminds me when WeWork was like no red meat allowed at.
Oh, I don't.
And everybody was
that.
like, "How do you even control that?"
Yeah. Empty your purse. Let me see that plastic.
How do you even control that?
Yeah.
But also, as companies do try to get more sustainable, this is a very sort of easy way that we can say this is one way where we're more sustainable. Workbar Back Bay is the first co-working space in the world to achieve WELL certification. And one of the pillars of WELL certification is easy access to water and hydration. And so a very easy lift for us when we were going to get that certification was putting the Bevi in, because it is an easy way to have people, to encourage members to drink water as opposed to soda, coffee, all the other beverages at their disposal, because it's good. It's like Maddie said, it's fun to use. It's a beautiful product. And then they just have easy access to it. So when we were looking, this was back in 2017, to achieve WELL certification, the Bevi certainly sort of checked a box on that for us.
Oh, I love that.
Was nice.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And I think just building on that point of kind of offering great access to water and healthy solutions. I mean, we haven't even touched on microplastics, but in a 1 liter bottle of water, there's over 160,000 particles of microplastics. I don't think people realize this. And so this is where,
did not know
through
that.
the Bevi, right, it filters that out. And so even if you don't want all the customizations, right, you can make over 40,000 different drinks with all of the flavors and all the different options we offer. You can just get water that's filtered and kind of better for you through the Bevi.
Wow.
Yeah. I know the microplastics thing is frightening as we learn more about how prevalent they are.
Yeah.
You can find them in your blood now.
Can you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a thing.
I often think about, and sometimes I say this out loud to other people, but at Workbar, I feel like I've always been like a wartime CEO, because COVID was really terrible. We've had like a run on banks. We've had all these different things that have been thrown during my tenure at Workbar. And now I sit down and I think, well, I don't know if I'd like to lead a company during peaceful times. Like, what would that even look like?
Boring, right?
And maybe that's just not for me.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think about, when I think about things that I like doing and my team and all of that, I think about it is the challenges are what sort of make you as a person and what gives you. That's why we've gone through a lot of things at Workbar, and I'm always like, someday I'm going to write a book about this. But my, it sort of pales in comparison to everything that you went through in such a short period of time at Drizzly, and then to move over to a company that is like Bevi, which to us at least seems to have a very wonderful, which Drizzly did too, but culture, because we just know people at Bevi, of culture of people who are really there to do good work and good things and be a very sort of dynamic, productive, part of changing the world for the better in terms of plastic use.
Yeah, that's been one of my favorite parts, is just getting to know the team better. And one of the things I did the first 3 months was I conducted listening circles, right? And it was optional and people could participate. We had over half the company sign up for these small group sessions. And I always start with, what do you love about Bevi? And the number one thing, hands down, was the culture and the team and the people and just the community that we've built there. And so as we think about continuing to scale and hire new, right, that's going to be really important, is making sure we don't lose sight of that.
Right. And what are some of the things that you've done? I know you've only been there since September, or think you're going to do to try to keep that culture as you guys think about this global world domination?
I mean, I think I mentioned the lunches, but those are anchor points where people come together. Everybody takes time out of their day to sit in the cafeteria together. It's kind of different teams, different levels, all, just coming together to enjoy connecting, right? And certainly that kind of work fun moments too, right? We have monthly activities. We just had our Thanksgiving potluck. We have our holiday cookie swap and secret gift exchange. And so we really try to be intentional. And of course, if people don't want to participate, they don't have to at all.
Of course.
But we allow for those moments of people just coming together. We do an annual retreat that happened to be my first week when I joined.
Wow.
It was on the Cape. So just an amazing way to get to meet everybody.
When are we going to start doing annual retreats?
But we really make sure we're investing in those kind of community and connection points, kind of outside the day-to-day work discussions and the meetings that are happening, so people really build that trust and connection.
Yeah, we find that a lot of people come to work just to build that trust and connection. Because like you've said too, is sort of having Bevi employees come in 2 days a week. The three of us don't work together that often, maybe once a week now at this point. Kara and I work together probably a little bit more. But you get such different things done on the days where you are together than the days when you're not together. But it's nice to have that balance and understanding, like you just pointed out, some people don't like to do the, cookie swap and all that kind of stuff. You have this neurodivergent workforce where you're trying to be accommodating, because we all know that sort of talent comes in all different shapes, sizes, and forms, and just being accommodating, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to help Workbar. That's what's going to help Bevi in terms of people being great employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, I don't remember the exact context, but we were chatting about how Gen Z, I think, is who says, don't say, oh, we're all family. Like, work is not family.
Yeah, work is not family.
And for sure, work is not family, and that's fine. I get what they're saying. But at the same time, you spend more time at work, especially during the week, than you do with your actual family. And so I love hearing about companies that have a culture that really fosters not like a familial bond in the truest sense, but a way that you feel like yourself and you can show up as yourself to work and swap cookies and like bring a unique dish to Thanksgiving potluck and have it be a really special experience and have yourself like recognized at work, I think is really cool.
Yeah, one of the things that came through in those listening circles was that sense of belonging and people really feeling like they're part of something that's so much bigger than themselves. And during COVID, we're in a great place now and growing and thriving, but COVID was a really tough time, as you can imagine. Yeah. I was surprised at how many customers we did retain during that time when I looked at the data, because people weren't going into the office. But we had to let go a good number of our employees, and many of them came back.
Wow.
And that to me speaks volumes of kind of the culture and that community, and that's what they pointed to. They said, I really feel like I belong. I don't want to just go and get a paycheck. I want to be part of something that's much bigger, and this kind of sense of connection that I have at Bevi. So
that's amazing.
That's we talk about that a little bit as well, being like that employer of choice where people who are coming into work do feel like they're part of something much bigger than themselves. But to be able to, like, we talk about it, and I hope that we we have that at Workbar, but to be able to hear that directly from, and the proof is that not they all, but a lot of them came back. Can you imagine being let go and then being willing to and wanting to go back to that company where you had that experience? That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that's special.
Yeah,
that's
it is special. Yeah, it is.
It's fun. It's just more fun to have fun at work. I know so many people who don't have fun at work and they're fine with it. They do their job and they have work friends, but I love being able to like show up and chop it up with you.
I know, me too.
It's so fun.
We have fun.
Yeah. We just had our holiday party.
I knew you were
going to
bring that up.
No, but it's true. It's like we don't get to do, because of how Workbar is set up, we have all different locations. It's so rare that the whole company is together, almost never, just by, design. And we have great, communication online and stuff. But getting to see everybody together in one place, it's just so fun.
It is.
And you make new connections. And, we have some new community managers. It was so fun to meet them. And you really get to see how people will fit into the culture. And it's so fun.
Yes. Have the Bevi employees been nice to you when you've... It's in welcoming to you on your...
So welcoming.
Okay, good.
Yes. Yeah, they've been incredible.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
We're big fans of your social media team.
We love your team. I know.
Me too.
Yeah,
your
they
team.
do great work.
Yeah. Everybody at Bevi, I feel like.
I know. It's just so, I just like want to chat all day about
I know.
it. But so I belong to Sweat House now, which is another partner of Workbar. They have an office at our Quincy location. The Massachusetts sweat houses. And when I got to Chestnut Hill and saw it, I was like, oh my God, as usual.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys, this is
Maddie
not the best
sends
thing.
us photos of Bevi machines around.
I am who I am.
The Commonwealth.
It's just so great to see. Well, it also is such a signifier that like the business, whatever it is, takes sustainability seriously and takes hydration and health and wellness seriously.
Yes.
You can have a water bubbler from anywhere.
That's true. That's true. But you do feel like you're helping the environment.
Yeah.
And Bevi has, you guys, what are your sustainability goals as a company? Is it because we're trying to be like net carbon neutral but it's very difficult.
It is difficult. I mean, we look at a lot of different things. The materials we're using when we're making machines, so making sure we have recycled materials whenever that's available. We look at the logistics of moving our machines and how can we batch them and make that as efficient as possible so we don't, to eliminate the carbon footprint as best as we can just in terms of that kind of production and transport to locations.
Yeah.
We have a green team. So it's an employee resource group who's focused on driving engagement around sustainability across the company. One of the activities they just hosted was a secondhand clothing swap. So everybody could bring in clothing and they set up like a little store and people could kind of go across and then we donated, the things that people didn't want to a local shelter.
So cool.
So there's a lot of different ways that we get our employees engaged and are thinking about sustainability overall, and there will be a lot more to come.
That's wonderful. How big is Bevi? How many employees do you guys have?
About 200.
That's a significant
size,
yeah.
Or 21.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A handful.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is so great.
Well, thank you so much, Cathy, for taking the time. You must be so busy, especially this time of year, but we truly appreciate it. And we're going to continue to be advocates, evangelists.
Forever and ever. Send me more swag. I'll pass it out for Christmas.
Yeah. Maddie will continue to post all the bevies you see on Workbar social media.
You know what would be very funny to have? I don't see them as much anymore. Like when Instagram first came out, there were so many accounts dedicated to like random stuff in the wild. It would be funny to have like a Bevi in the wild account that I can start if you want.
Okay.
I was going to say, it sounds great. I think we're taking notes over here.
Emily can handle that. Thank you so much. It was so great to meet you. We're so excited.
We're excited about the future of Bevi. I know. Because we're going to be like, oh, we were their first customers.
Not to brag, but we'll take a little credit.
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations. Congratulations, and thanks again.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
This was great.